Hi, it's Hillary Potts, bringing you leadership strategies for you to bring your best to any business situation. I'm the author of several leadership books, including the Executive Transition Playbook, as well as The Truth About Change. And my goal is to provide you with relevant leadership content to help you have a greater impact on your organization. In this segment, we'll discuss how a 5-second pause can help you speak more intentionally and have a profound impact on the engagement and productivity of your organization. Have you ever said something and as you were saying it realized that probably you should have thought more about what you were saying and how you were saying it, and that your intention to help actually backfired? Well, this happened to a president in a group of 150 leaders who were charged with developing plans for the next 5 and 10 years, and after 3 days of presentations and work sessions, they finally shared their output. The president had high hopes of carving out the future vision, but what he heard was that the business was missing some key fundamentals. His response in front of the group of 150 leaders was, "I'm disappointed." You could hear a pin drop. What was he disappointed about? In that moment, everyone thought he was disappointed at them. Actually, the president was disappointed that the business wasn't in better shape. His comments fell directly on the shoulders of his colleagues. The president quickly tried to retract his comments, but it was too late. And he realized that speaking his mind and maybe even being authentic wasn't giving his colleagues what they needed to move forward. They had spent 3 grueling days coming up with ideas on how to improve the business. And that summit was intended to bring everyone together under a common theme. The president's comments, they were a huge setback, and instead of working on future plans, he spent weeks clarifying what he meant. Napoleon Hill is famous for saying, "Think twice before you speak, because your words and influence will plant the seed of either success or failure in the mind of another." In the case of the president, people were stunned, and they saw his comments as criticism to their work. When we talk without thinking, it's very easy to put our foot in our mouth. With so much going on, you may even feel rushed and may not take the time to process and think about the situation and what your colleagues need to motivate them to take actions. So while the president had some valid points, his comments didn't help the situation. Many people like to think out loud, and unfortunately, you can make pronouncements and even blurt out what's on your mind without thinking about the impact your comments have on colleagues. You want to think before you act. While the president was a smart guy and intelligent and was highly respected by others, his comments in that moment quickly drained the energy in the room. So it's not enough to have the IQ. You have to make sure that you have a chance to demonstrate your own EQ, your own emotional intelligence, by understanding the situation and framing your comments appropriately. There are many reasons leaders say the wrong things. Today people are very busy, they're juggling many activities, there's a lot on people's mind, and it's very easy to get distracted and not be fully on top of a situation. Therefore, target comments can be off target. Being present, visible, engaged creates the awareness of the entire situation and helps you slow down and see what's going on. Sometimes our actions, while they express how we feel, may not be appropriate for the situation. I knew this leader, and in his business teams, he would become frustrated with the state of the business and he would start to pound his fist on the table. I don't know that he even knew he was pounding his fist. He was just trying to make a point. But what really happened is the colleagues around the table afterward never remembered what he had to say. They just remembered the fist pounding on the table. Remember, what we say and how we say it sets a context for what others hear and what others will do. So I suggest to my clients to take a 5-second pause to consider their words and actions. A slight pause allows you to figure out what's going to be the most effective way to communicate with others. When you pause before stepping into saying something, you can consider that impact the words and actions will have on others. That pause triggers you to think about what and how to make that comment. So the right words and the tone help you accelerate actions, and the wrong words and the wrong tone, well, they can really cause a mess. When we take a pause and think about our intention, Then we can determine what to do and say and how to act in a way that has a very positive impact on advancing others' work. So our actions do impact others. Our intention could be that we really want to motivate action. Our intention might be that we want people to know how serious this matter is. Our intention, well, we may be angry and frustrated, and we may think people need to know. However, if we show our frustration, if we show we're angry, will this really result in people making changes? Probably not. Why? Because people will just be watching us and our own emotions and not thinking that they need to take action. Instead, determine your intention. And it's most likely your intention is that you want people to be involved and help. Then check to see if your words and actions actually articulate what you want to see happen. Match your actions with your intention. And those actions will then lead to what you want others to do and say. One of the most important skills in communication is knowing when to talk and when to pause before replying. And this can be really tricky when you have all this input coming from all sides. The pause helps you determine to take a breath, to determine what to say, how to say it in a way that matches your intention. So before jumping in to make comments in conversations, take 5. Here's some ways you can put that into action. Look before you leap. Take a moment. This may mean getting comfortable with silence. Sometimes to create that pause, you can do this by a long 5-count inhale and a long 5-count exhale before responding. This gives you a moment to compose your thoughts, to take a deep breath. It gives you a chance for people to actually process what's just happened before you leap into your comments. Be conscious and present. Stay in the moment. Consider what you just heard, even if you don't like what you just heard. There's a tendency when we hear something to start formulating our answers. In our minds, we love to work on things. So we may be thinking about what happened earlier in the day or what's happening later in the day. And these internal conversations, they pull us away from being fully present. When you're moving in so many different directions, you're not going to be available for what's going on. And a pause will help you observe the situation and can convey more thoughtful messages. Think about what you want to say and then keep it really simple. In the case of the president, okay, his message was simple, but he only had sights on the future. He was disappointed, as were his colleagues. But what people were looking to hear him say is how they could get things back on track. While he may have not liked what he heard, and he realizes that the organization wasn't ready, the organization, the leaders needed confirmation to start moving to fix the fundamentals. So it's a very simple trick of formulating an appropriate response would be to do this. What do people need to know from you? 2, how would you like them to respond based on how you tell them what they need to know? And then finally, what would you like them to do as a result? This will help you cultivate a 5-second response. As if the president had paused and said, what do I need them to know? How do I want them to feel about it? And what do I want them to do about it? He may have had a better final closing arguments. A couple things to consider. Words, tone, body language, they all matter. They all convey a message to people. Even how we write our emails convey messages. They tell people whether they're moving in the right direction or if we disagree. Observe and pay attention to what people are telling you first. Survey the situation to figure out how you can help. Most people don't need any more criticism. They can give that to themselves pretty well on their own. Most people who are working on changes, they need confirmation. They need to know that they're doing something right. They need to know what to continue to do. They need management support, and they need your support to help to pave the way forward. So pay attention and observe what's going on. Think before you speak. And this could be a hard thing to do for a lot of people. Instead of trying to prove you know something or you want to make a point, think first about the situation. what are you really trying to accomplish in this conversation, and how will your actions help the situation? There's nothing worse than comments coming from out of left field that don't help. So keep your composure. Ask yourself, do I have anything positive to say? Lose the cutting, sarcastic remarks. Lose the hurried tone. Demonstrate that you have the presence, the composure, the gravitas that's required to tackle these tough situations so that people can listen and act on what you have to say. Here's a good example that working on a conscious reply. Despite all the safety training at this refinery and the daily talks of safety and the signage, 2 operators went into a restricted area and they didn't have the appropriate safety equipment on. They put themselves in danger. At the same token, they did come back out and self-report the incident. You can imagine their manager was extremely upset. You could probably peel him off the ceiling. He was so angry. These 2 gentlemen could have been killed by what they did. But the manager had a choice. He could go and yell at them for their error, which might mean that they never again would be honest about self-reporting safety incidents. Or he could have a very serious conversation, a very quiet conversation, and understand why these 2 men would not wear the appropriate safety equipment and put themselves in jeopardy. He decided to keep his composure. He decided to keep his emotions of anger in check and facilitate a conversation to understand why these 2 gentlemen put themselves and others at risk. The manager was able to make very valid points. He was able to reinforce the importance of safety and calling that out. And in actuality, what happened is the 2 men were appreciative. They also became huge advocates of safety. So our job is, in making points and comments, we want to be there to help, not harm. When our comments and discussions cross the line, actually people are going to stop listening and they're not really acting on what you said. Too often I see leaders frustrated and come out with their own comments, and they think they're bringing seriousness to the situation when the group is actually waiting for the dialogue to be over, and they're really not thinking about how they can help. So it might feel good to get this off your chest, but really consider you're just dumping your feelings on others. Instead, take the 5-second pause. Take a deep breath in and out and determine what you need to say, how you need to say it to get your point across and get everyone involved. Give yourself time to think. So the next time you feel like you need to jump in and say something, take the pause, consider the situation and what people need to hear so they can positively take action. It's been great chatting with you today. This is Hillary Potts with Leadership Strategies to help you bring your best. If you've liked what you heard, you can look for more ideas and you can download my Leader Change Toolkit right now. Inside the toolkit, I offer ways to get prepared for a significant project. I have a framework to help you lead the change effort, and there are more details about 5 time-tested leader behaviors that can help you navigate any situation. They're on my website at www.hillarypotts.com/resources.html. You can also find more information about ways to lead through transitions with my books, The Truth About Change. It's a book about how to successfully lead strategic initiatives, and the Executive Transition Playbook is a step-by-step approach to make the most of your first 100 days in a new role. Both books are available on Amazon.com. You can also visit my website at www.hillarypotts.com for additional information about my coaching and consulting programs, tips and tools, other blogs, podcasts, and videos. Until the next time, continue to bring your best to leading yourself and others. Bye for now.